The eyes are on Europe, but the word on everyone's lips is Saudi Arabia. The football season got underway Friday night in England and will soon kick off in Spain, Germany, France, Italy, and the rest of Europe. Any other time and season, the talk would have perhaps been about Man City's dominance and if Arsenal will continue to improve, Barcelona's resurgence under Xavi, and the one team competition that is the French league, given PSG and everything that they do. But this season, there's just one overriding theme: the Saudi Arabian cash splurge. Does it threaten Europe's power in world football? Does it make Asia the next big destination for world's top footballers? Are the Europeans, especially the top teams and the managers, justified in feeling threatened over the Saudi quote-unquote takeover of world sport? These are some of the questions that we'll be answering or trying to answer today. This is Mihir Vasavda from a fairly hot and very humid Chennai, welcoming you to yet another episode of Game Time, and joining us as always from a pretty and wet Mumbai is Amit Kamath. Amit, last week you began the episode with a question for me. I returned the favor this time. A week and a month later, can you guess there is a small possibility of perhaps a world famous footballer making a trip to Mumbai, not very far from where you stay, for a AFC Champions League match? Can you guess which team that could be?
It can't be Messi, right? It would be the other one then, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, not really. I'll then go to our next guest, Sandip G, from the calm backwaters of Kerala. Am I stereotyping much, Sandip?
Yeah. I mean, there is no calm backwater in my locality. I mean, yeah, but 15-20 kilometers, yeah, there is, man.
ठीक है यार, 15-20 किलोमीटर्स तो है एटलीस्ट. हमारे यहाँ पर दूर दूर तक नहीं है, काम भी नहीं है और बैकवाटर्स भी नहीं है कोई. बट मिस्टर जी, व्हाट्स do you have a guess on which team could be in Mumbai next month?
Then who, man? I have no idea, man. Benzema's.
Right. Yeah, that's it. It could be Benzema's Al Ittihad. They are the Saudi champions, and they've been on a cash splurge. And it's the reason I kind of begin with this is just last month, Mumbai City, the champions of India, they had a logo launch, and the coach, Des Buckingham, he's an Englishman, he was asked about the Saudi splurge and if it kind of, has an impact on Asian football, given how they've been going, on a shopping spree. And he didn't say a lot, but he did have a very sarcastic smile and just said that he was excited to welcome either Ronaldo or Benzema to Mumbai next month. God knows how that goes, because last time Mumbai City played Champions League, they did pretty well. But when a team as powerful as Al Ittihad comes calling, no one knows what happens. It's natural for them to feel threatened. But Sandeep, I'll come to you first and then to Amit. Can you just quickly recap for us what's happened during the off-season and why the talk is about Saudi Arabia?
I mean, Saudi Arabia has spent almost $6.3 billion on players. I mean, obviously, chunk of it goes to Cristiano Ronaldo, but it's not just Ronaldo. It's N'Golo Kante, who also plays with Al Ittihad, who wears Borussia Dortmund jersey, I think, and Karim Benzema and player. But the most threatening aspect of all these player deals is the younger players going. Sergei Milinovic-Savic, who's 28, an excellent player. I mean, he could have easily gained some 70-80 million pounds in any transfer market, but he's gone to Saudi. And then there's Ruben Neves. He's exceptionally talented guy. I mean, the guys in the 25-30 age group going, I think, is a big threat. I mean, and then of course the sum was ludicrous for Mbappe as well, but he had slightly different perspectives. And if a similar amount is offered to some other player, I mean, you never know, he'll end up in Saudi as well. So, first they absolutely ignored it, and now they started ridicule / cynicism / fear. I mean, it's how evolutions usually take place. No? I mean, first they ridicule you, and then first they ignore, then they ridicule, and it just goes on like that, and finally they embrace you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Amit, that's the threat here, right? I mean, the reason why European clubs, I guess, are feeling threatened is pehle China bhi aa chuka hai, but China was more of a yesteryear stars car destination. You just went out for a last fat paycheck, and it's different this time.
Absolutely. I mean, when you go for trying to bid on a Kylian Mbappe and try to bid, I think that was 1 billion roundabout. I think he had a 700 million euro contract waiting for him. That kind of shows the impact, that they are not just looking to be a one season, 5 season wonder. They are looking at this from the bigger perspective. They want to build something as unsustainable as it may sound to you and me, who, well, I don't think we have calculators that have, spaces that can fill those many zeros.
Yeah, true, true. And I think that's also one of the reasons why Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, raised a big red flag last week. I'm very interested to know what you guys think about it. I have my own opinions, but I'll come to that later. Sandeep, when Klopp talks about the Saudi splurge, the extended transfer window that they enjoy, I mean, European clubs, the transfer deadline for them is August 31. And in Asia, it runs up to September 20. In Saudi, it runs up to September 20. And Klopp basically said that it's pretty much the worst thing I can think, that transfer window in Saudi Arabia is open 3 weeks longer. If I'm right, I heard something like that. At least in Europe, that's not helpful. Is he justified in what he's saying?
Absolutely, absolutely justified in what he's saying, because I mean it was sort of irrelevant back then. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago, I mean, until last year, but now that they've started to expand and they've started to splurge insane amount of money, I mean, it is indeed a threat. I mean, I'm sure that more big names will go to Saudi. I mean, after this transfer window also shuts. I mean, as a transfer window in Europe also shuts. I think it's the big difference between this and Chinese league was the Chinese league was not state sponsored. This is sort of, I mean, there were a lot of limitations. There were a lot of curbs for the Chinese consortiums to spend money. I mean, even if China didn't have such stringent rules on spending, I mean, Wolves would have been one of the richest clubs in the world because they are owned by a super rich Chinese company. Such restrictions apart, I mean, but Saudis, they're going to go for the full throttle money splurge, which is definitely going to create some imbalance.
Amit, I find it particularly interesting when the Western world kind of finds itself in knots unke curse mein, when every time anyone outside their own comfort zone tries something. Is it a case of thoda sa question of unknown? I mean, not knowing what to expect from Saudi and how it will all pan out, or it's also, isn't it a sign of the changing power balance in the world? I mean, Europe is not as financially strong as it was a couple of years ago, and money is in Saudi now.
Yeah, the financial threat that looms, it's incredible. Like, I mean, in fairness, this European, there cannot be an ethical distinction. I mean, like a team controlled by Russian oligarchs or Ukrainian oligarchs, I mean, or Qatari state. I mean, there can't be an ethical distinction, I guess. They can't ride a moral high horse in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, they feel basically threatened financially, especially the state that Europe is in. And whereas on Saudi is a shooting economy. I mean, so that obviously is there.
Absolutely. And Mir, I think what you also hinted at, but didn't say it obviously, was that I don't think the European leagues, particularly a club like Manchester City, they have, I think, some 100 odd financial fair play violations hanging over their head. You
Yeah,
have all of
yeah.
these clubs. You had PSG, which had at one point Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar in the same squad. And I mean, for all of this talk of impropriety, you look at the European clubs' own history. You look at how Neymar was brought over from Santos to Barcelona. Some of these wheelings and dealings that happen behind the scenes at European football has been shady to begin with from the start. So I really don't think they have a leg to stand on when they go and look at, Saudi league and say that, you guys shouldn't be doing it like this, because I mean, come on. Just a few years ago, you guys had a whole European Super League breakaway planned. I mean, I don't know how this is that different. I mean, it's only that you don't control the league. Somebody else is controlling the league and the players. Besides that, what else is different?
Yeah, I mean, there is a solid debate that can be made over how football, in a way, has been a source of, like, it's a form of football colonization of what's been happening so far. And here's like someone who's just like a nobody, so to say, in world football so far, trying to come and stir the ship. So that's interesting how it goes. But Sandeep, we've seen two examples in the recent years. One is Ronaldo heading to Saudi, and then Messi going to US. Both, in a way, are footballing not heavyweights, lightweights, or middleweights, whatever you want to call them. Why is Messi's transfer to US not seen as a same money hungry way that Ronaldo's thing has been kind of defined.
Yeah, it's I think because I mean, footballers have been moving to United States for a long time, right, from the days of Pele. So, and to an extent, it hasn't actually threatened Europe in such a way as Saudi is doing now. I mean, mostly there used to be some more over the hill players like 30 plus 35, 37, winding up the last leg of the career there, and it has definitely made an impact in United States, but not only affected European football, but also the money they splurged is it's comparatively less. I mean, it's not eye-boggling amount of money. So I think it's money that makes a lot of difference. I mean, and of course, I mean, if you have and no American club has threatened to sign Kylian Mbappe. I mean, or for that matter, any other player in his prime. I mean, when Messi was in his prime or Ronaldo was in his prime, no one even dared to put a price on them and invited them there. I mean, it's the usual way that's happening. Like, I mean, once you turn 35, 36, you're the last leg of your career. I mean, United States, it's a good option. You get the level of football is not as high as it is in Europe. I mean, and many of the players also do get stakes in the club. I mean, it is always worked that way. I mean, so I don't think that's as threatening as Saudis.
Plus, I think Mihir, what we should also realize is that I mean, Messi had an offer from Saudi Arabia and he decided to walk away from it. Obviously, he got a different strings attached deal from Apple and MLS. But yeah, I mean, the figures that we were hearing when Messi was being courted by Saudi Arabia was equally mind-boggling. When I'm reading reports, I'm getting it figures from anywhere between 320 million pounds a year to 1.5 billion euros a deal. So we don't exactly know how much he was offered even.
Yeah, so if it was only about money, then I would still understand. But I have a feeling this goes a little more beyond money. You know, it was a bit like what happened with Qatar and their World Cup last year. This is being described as sports washing. It, I'm sure, is sports washing. But I again come down to the same argument that I don't think any country is in a position to lecture another country on, the moral and ethical standards. I think it's morely that bit which bothers me. I mean, if people were just arguing about the money that Messi refused or Mbappe has refused and Ronaldo accepted that or Benzema accepted that, that again would be a hypocritical debate because I don't think footballers anyway, whatever they earn, £500,000 or £100,000, whatever they earn per week, they shouldn't be then going around transfers and bargaining for more money and all. I mean, money then becomes just a big, never-ending debate. But this, in my opinion, goes beyond money. And I don't want to use the expression of subtle racism or out and out racism, but it just comes across as something that just because it's happening in a certain part of the region, they're more wary compared to other parts of the world. I don't know how you guys look at it.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, in certain extent because it's. I wonder if imagine if India had done the same thing. I don't know, the outcry or the reaction would have been of the same toxic level because it's Saudi, because of its past, because of its future as well. So that, I mean, the West always views Saudi with cynicism, with a bit of a fear. I mean, whatever we do or not, that's the reality. So,
and at the same time, they go around partnering in other aspects of life and beyond sport, which is much more important.
Yeah. I mean, because the image of Saudi has also played a big role. I mean, I guess
so. Amit, but Saudi's game plan seems very interesting because they're going beyond football, right? They're starting a T20 league in cricket. They've taken over world golf. They are in F1, they name the sport and they're kind of trying to enter there and not just enter, but establish themselves fully.
Absolutely. And in fact, I think in golf, they tried to, stand on their own and make sure that, the Saudi influence was not affecting the established hierarchy of golf. But eventually, even they had to buckle in and tie hands with Saudi Arabia. So that kind of goes to show that irrespective of how much you are going to resist, you might eventually have to buckle down because I mean you are in it to make money. You are essentially businesses, and if there is somebody who's offering you just bags of money, I don't think you can resist the lure.
Yeah, true. And I think it's also essential. I mean, if there is any lesson that Saudi can learn from the past, it can look at China and just see that just splurging money isn't the answer. I mean, in a way, it's also interesting because so far, I'm guessing you guys you'll have followed the one of the underlying debates in Asian football was what if all these giants who go and spend in Europe buying clubs, investing in teams and players and stuff, if they started spending in their own continent, would football dynamics change? And I don't know if it'll have any sort of impact because Sandeep, you were in Qatar, and did the World Cup have the lasting legacy over there? I mean, has it really made Qatar a superpower in world football as it hoped the World Cup would, or at least give them a springboard to future success?
Yeah, it definitely was a springboard to future success, man. Like, I mean, football gradually was getting popular in Qatar. I mean, there were players from Europe who joined there, though very late in their career, right from Pep Guardiola to Xavi. And the football was a kind of a spark, kind of a trigger. I mean, you can see that. I mean, football doesn't, I mean, the World Cup was not the final destination for Qatari football. I mean, they'll go beyond that. They're also developing a pretty robust league with youngsters from a lot of youngsters from Africa and some from Latin America as well. So, I mean, what Saudi is doing is like what Qatar has been doing some time ago, but in a larger scale and a more powerful scale, like bringing players in their peak or close to the peak or just after the peak. It's kind of the league. I mean, if you have players like 20-year-old, 30-year-olds from Europe and elsewhere, I mean, you tend to have a robust league gradually. If they have spent so much this season, next season they'll go further, and the season after that they'll go even further. So, and moreover, if they pick players from, if they scout players from Africa, and a lot of players from Africa will be very comfortable in Saudi as well. I mean, a lot of Arab-speaking countries are there. A lot of them from Africa to an extent are working in Saudi Arabia. So there will be a natural inclination even for the younger players to go to Saudi Arabia, especially with the amount they offer. So it can actually be a pretty competitive league in the future.
Amit, it's interesting, right? I mean, I think one idea that the entire sporting world will have to get used to, whether they like it or not, is the constant Gulf presence in the top levels of world sport. Do you think European clubs, players, managers will make peace with that? Do you think Europe can find an answer to this Saudi splurge?
Yeah, they can. They can obviously sell their clubs to Qatar, and then hopefully Qatar can then pump in money and then start.
They're already doing that, yeah.
Exactly.
और कितना बेचेंगे?
I mean, what else is the option? Because, see, in something like an NBA, there is the concept of salary caps. But in football, we are already seeing that even though there is a financial fair play concept existing, there is also a very, very slick ways of, circumventing those regulations. You can pump in money through other sponsors and then say that, that is the money that has come in as whatever. And then eventually use that to buy players. So I don't see how they can resist. You can't really tell footballers not to go to a club where. And Mihir, if you've seen some of the perks that these players in the Saudi league are getting, I recently saw a video where a couple of these players were flying for an away game from one city in Saudi Arabia to the other in a fully golden coated plane with like gold thrones inside, ivory tables, all of it. I mean, why would you not want that? You are a footballer. I mean, your career is not going to last till you are 50 and 60. Obviously, you are in it for a short time. So why wouldn't you want to maximize your potential?
You know why, Amit? Football is a great leveler? Because those same footballers who are flying in golden plated chartered flights and stuff, they could be playing in Mumbai's Mumbai football arena, a very humble 10,000 seater stadium. It's in one of the most crowded parts of Mumbai. They will have to navigate the dreaded Andheri traffic, go through those dirty metro pillars that are forever under construction and play a match there. And that's something money can't buy them.
I think money can actually buy them a doctor's note saying that they are sick and they don't have to play there.
We'll know on August 24 when the Champions League draw will be held, the Asian Champions League draw will be held. Before we wrap, Sandeep and Amit, Sandeep, first you. We've spoken about the off-the-field issues that are kind of overarching issues in world football right now. But on-field, the Premier League began Friday night. And what are you looking forward to? What are you excited to see this season?
Who can stop City, man? I mean, what's the next gear for City?
I mean, there is a Saudi-owned club that could stop City.
So I doubt so, man. Saudi on club. Yeah.
Oh well. Amit?
I think I like to read the tea leaves a lot, and I like to jump to conclusions very effectively. So, which is why I'm going to look at the Community Shield and say that Arsenal are going to be the club to win it all this season. I know I'm going to be mocked at the end of this season by everybody, but it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're an Arsenal fan, you
ये
come
तो
with
तुम्हारे
a...
emotions बोल रहे हैं यार.
Exactly. When you are an Arsenal fan, you come equipped with a healthy sense of delusion. It doesn't matter how many facts you are going to throw in front of me. I am going to be like a footballer who's going to see only the prize at the end of the whole thing.
Then Sandeep, you will be excited to see Ten Hag and Manchester United doing what they did last time.
Yeah, man. If they can improve, yeah.
Lovely. So we have people in Kerala, in Bombay, and people from Delhi who do what they are often very good at doing. That's snooping in quietly on others' talks. Shashank, Bhargav, do you have any opinions on Saudi and their money splurge and football in Europe being affected by it?
I think we can safely take that to be a no comment from Shashank.
Yeah.
So basically, people in Delhi like to listen and not be heard.
Yeah,
is what
exactly
we
like
can conclude here.
Delhi football clubs, right? They'd like to see the Indian Super League do well, but they really don't need to have a team in there.
Was my answer too subtle?
Yeah, I mean, not so subtle, I must say.
Mihir, speaking of subtlety, I think we also need to just mention Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo, who's found it hard to resist taking digs at Messi and the Major League Soccer by saying that the Saudi Pro League is much better than the Major League Soccer.
I don't know what the hate for Ronaldo is here. Bechara, it's just a hard-working player trying to earn his living in Saudi.
Humble, trying to earn his humble pound.
Yeah, I mean, one too many humble pounds there. But yeah. But yeah, I think on that very depressing note for us journalists who will perhaps dream of such sums, we shall bid a farewell for today.
Journalists should never dream of money, macha.
Yeah, it's the passion that keeps us going. But no, thanks a lot, Sandeep.
Sandeep, are you going to become a manager soon?
Where manager, man? Football manager?
Bank manager?
No. Office where this is the managerial mindset. What is
No,
it?
man.
लगता है संदीप का appraisal अच्छा हुआ है. And now he's among the top boss.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
No way, man.
देखो यार, मैं तो इसमें कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा अभी. शशांक भार्गव बहुत ही टाइमली इंटरवेंशन किया है. जब भी हमने कुछ पूछा तब तो आए नहीं. But anyway, I think that's all we have for this week. Sandeep G, thanks a lot for joining us. Amit, Kamath,
Thank you, Mihir. Amit.
as always, your opinions are of much value. Thanks a lot, you guys, for listening. We will be back with a fresh episode of Game Time next week.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Abhishek Kumar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.